Okay, I think that my audio is not clear. So let's. So there are IoT communication model in which are request response things, publish and subscribe things, exclusive pair things, and pull and push things. So in the first model, request and response things. So what we have to do? So request response is a communication model in which the client send a request to the server and server response to that request. Okay, the client send a request to the server then response back. Okay, when so when the server receive the request, it decide how to respond first and fetch the data from the resource and retrieve from the resources and representation and prepare that response and send back the response to the client. Okay, send request to server, request is provide a request go side the server side. So receive the request from the client, process request lookup, fetch the resources and prepare the response and send back to the client and the resource taken from the resource side. Okay, and second model is communication model is publish subscribe model. Okay, okay, publish subscribe model. So publish subscribe is a communication model that involve publisher, broker, and the consumer. Okay, publisher are the source of data. Publisher are the source of data. Sorry, publisher are the source of data. Publisher send the data to the topic which are managed by the broker. So publisher send the data to the broker which manage publish send a topic data to the topic which are managed by the brokers. Okay, and publisher are not aware of the consumer. So publisher are not aware of the consumer. Matlab, publisher send to the middleman, and middleman send the data to the consumer. Okay, and and what is consumer? So consumer subscribe to the topic and which are managed by, so consumer subscribe to some specific topic and which are managed by the broker. When a broker receive the data from the whenever the broker receive the data of topic from the publisher, it send data to the subscribed consumer. So it's simply that one is publisher, broker, and consumer. So publish subscribe model in which publish subscribe in a communication model in which publisher, broker, and consumer. Okay, what is the role of publisher? The role of publisher is that publi publisher are the source of data. Actually, it is source of data. So publisher send the data or topic that are managed by the broker, and publisher are not about and not aware about the consumer. Okay, and are the consumer one who are subscribed the topic which are managed by broker. When the broker receive the data from the publisher, whenever the broker receive data from the publisher, it send back all data to the subscribed customer. Okay, the topic to broker. Okay, which are managed by broker, and topic to the broker, and brokers that send the subscribed topic to the subscribed consumer. Okay, is known as publish subscribe model. Okay, after that we have to say P PP, that is communication model is push pull model. Okay, in push pull model where push pull model. So what is push and pull model? So in push pull model, that push pull is a communication model in which data producer push the data to queues and the consumer pull the data from the queue, and producer do not need to aware of the consumer. Okay, okay. In the previous section is publish and subscriber model in which we see that publisher, broker, and the consumer, in which we know that broker send the data to the subscribed consumer. But in push pull model, it is simply publisher send the topic of data to the inside the queue, and the consumer can pull the data from that queue. Okay, so publisher in this model, the publisher also don't aware about the consumer. Okay, so queue help in decoupling the message between the producer and consumer. So here queue help in decoupling the message between consumer and producer. Okay. Queue also act as a buffer which help in the situation when there is a mismatch between the rate at which the producer push the data and the rate at which consumer pull the data. Okay. So, uh, so in which we see that so actually in this model, so publisher send the message to queue, okay, push inside the queue, okay, and consumer can pull that message or data, okay, pull that data. So in push pull model, in which the data producer push the data into the queue, and producer do not aware about the consumer, and queue is decoupling the message, the queue is decoupling the message between producer and consumer act as a buffer. It helps during when there is mismatch between the rate of pushing the data in queue and at which the consumer the pulling the data, the rate at which pulling the data. Okay. And EP model, that is exclusive pair. So in this we have studied the first one, what is publisher, broker and consumer model. After that we have publish and subscribe model. Okay. So publish and subscribe model. Okay. Publish and subscribe model. First of all, request response model. Request response, publish subscribe, pull push and exclusive pair, and request and response model. Okay. Communication model. What is communication? Exclusive pair model. So exclusive pair is a bidirectional or fully duplex communication model that used as a persistence connection between the client and server. Okay, client and server. Okay, exclusive pair is a bidirectional fully duplex communication model that use as a persistent, and once the communication is set up, remain open until the client send a response request to close the connection. Okay, client and server can send a message to each other after connection setup. Okay, so client send okay, so this one is the last one. So in exclusive pair it is a bidirectional, so this one is a bidirectional, okay, fully duplex communication model that use the persistence connection between client and server. Okay, this one is clear. Once the connection is set up, first of all, when the connection is set up, it remain open until the client send a request to close. So client send a request. So when the connection is set up, it remain open until the client send a request to close the connection, and client and server can send a message to each other when the connection is set up. So first of all, what happened? So client and their server model. Okay, request to connect, a request for the request to set up the connection. Okay, a response that our connection is set up. Okay, and the message for the client to server, the message and data to and message from the client to client, and the client after send the connection to close request, and then the connection has been closed. So this is the exclusive pair in which it is bidirectional when server and server and client send in both direction. We simply studied connection model. Okay, what are the connection models? So there are 3 to 4 types. It's a request response model, publish and subscribe model, exclusive pair, and push and pull. So in communication model, first one, request and response model, in which mm, so in request and response model, first of all, we whenever a client send a request to the server, and server check the response. If any a check, look at the resources, fetch the data from the resources, prepare that response, and then send to the client. Okay, so in which the request is communication model, in which the client send the request to server and server responds back to request. Whenever server receive the request, it decide how to respond and fetch the data from the resource and the representation, and prepare the response and send back to the client things. Okay, after that Second communication model is publish and subscribe model. So publish and subscribe model is a communication model that involve publisher, broker, and consumer. So publisher is a source of data, is publish and send the data to the data or topic that are managed by the broker. But publisher is not aware about the consumer. Okay, and what is the consumer? Consumers subscribe to the specific topic which are managed by broker. Whenever the broker receive the data from the publisher and it send the data to the subscribed consumer. So it is called publish and subscribe model. After push and pull model. So push and pull communication model in which a producer push the data into the queue and consumer pull the data from the queue, and producer is not in this model. Also the producer is not aware about the consumer. The queue help in the coupling the decoupling the messages and decoupling the messages and between the producer and consumer. Okay, queue act as a buffer which help in the situation when the rate mismatches occur, when the rate at which the publisher pushing the data and the rate at which we pulling data. And last one is the consume exclusive pair. Exclusive pair. Exclusive pair is a bidirectional process. This fully directional communication model in which persistent personal connection established between the client and server. Once the connection established, it remain open until the client said that we have to close the connection. Okay. During that process, client and server can send message to each other after the connection established. Okay. So we have covered two topic. Okay. Two topic. So wait for 5 minutes.